Good morning. This is Kasturi De. I was continuing with the chemistry chapter Elements, Compounds and Mixtures according to ICSE syllabus class 7. I was continuing with the separation methods of separation, that is the separation of solid liquid mixture. So I will start today with the third separation method of the solid liquid mixture, that is the evaporation process. Evaporation process is this, in which the liquid is allowed to change into vapor when it is either exposed to air or by heating, and the solid which is in the mixture is left behind. This is how the solid liquid mixture is separated. Excuse me. The mixture should be homogeneous mixture, solid liquid mixture. For example, salt from seawater. Then evaporation of all the liquid. All the liquid should be evaporated so that we can get the solid, total solid without any water, without any liquid in it. Then crystallization. Crystallization is a process in which a pure form of solid is obtained. Okay, here the solution contains more of a solid. Okay, and evaporation here is very slow. The solid separates out as crystals, the solid particles with definite shape and size and also lustrous. For example, sugar cubes, we can see that they are in crystal forms. So what are crystals? Crystals are solid particles with definite size and shape, and also they are lustrous. That is, they have a glazing look. Okay, first, what happens? We evaporate it faster. In this process, what happens? First, we evaporate the liquid faster. Then cooling of the rest of the liquid. Cool the rest of the liquid. Then formation of sugar. For example, formation of the sugar crystals. First, we evaporate faster, and then when when almost all the liquid is evaporated, then we slow down and we see that the solid is starting formation of crystals. Okay, and slowly more crystals will start forming, and the pure form of the solid will take place. Now distillation, it's a homogeneous solid liquid mixture. Okay, here we get a pure form of liquid from the solution. Here evaporation is done when heating, and then condensation of the vapor is done. That is, the vapor are condensed back to the condensed to form liquid, which is known as distillate, and it is collected into another container, which is a pure form of the liquid. What is the advantage of this process? We can get back both the solid and the liquid, because solid remains in the distillation flask, and the distillate we can obtain the pure form of the liquid. For example, tap water purification, which is used by the chemists for making solutions and in many industries. Then centrifugation. Here separates solids from liquids. It's a homogeneous mixture is required here, and also it is also known as churning. Here the components differ in density. The apparatus used here is a centrifuge. What is a centrifuge? It's a tube in which the mixture is placed, rotated at high speed. That tube is rotated at high speed, and high density particles, or the heavier particles, settle at the bottom, and the lower density particles float on the liquid. Okay. So what happens in this? There is a homogeneous. First, there is a solid homogeneous solid liquid mixture. Okay. Now what happens? That solid liquid mixture, homogeneous mixture, is poured into a tube that is known as centrifuge. Okay, and then it is rotated at very high speed. What happens? The high density particles, the heavier particles, they settle at the bottom, and the low density particles or the lighter particles, they float on the above the liquid. Okay, and in this way we separate the solid liquid mixture. For example, cream is separated from the milk. At home, mixtures or traditional churners are used for this process to separate cream from the milk. Then centrifuge is generally used in dairies. Washing machine, water is used water is squeezed out through the from the wet clothes in the washing machine. That is used in our houses also. Next we come to separation of liquid-liquid mixture. There's a homogeneous liquid-liquid mixture which is miscible, we can say miscible liquids. For example, alcohol is miscible with water, or heterogeneous liquid can also be where immiscible liquids are like oil with water. Okay, that is immiscible liquids. Now, for separation of liquid-liquid mixture, first process is by separating funnel. Here, the liquid-liquid mixture should be heterogeneous mixture, like kerosene and water. How to separate this? By this separating funnel, we place this kerosene and water mixture into a separating funnel. Okay. Now, it's allowed to stand for some time. We see the two liquids form two separate layers. Water being heavier form the lower layer, and the oil being lighter, it settles on the upper layer. Now the stopper is open. There's a stopper below the separating funnel, okay, near the tube. So that stopper is opened, and the heavier liquid is taken out. Then again the oil, that is the lighter liquid, is taken out. Then the stopper is closed. Then we come to fractional distillation. Here the components should be homogeneous. The liquid-liquid mixture should be homogeneous. On this process, we separate these two homogeneous liquid-liquid mixture on the basis of the difference of their boiling point. Okay. The difference in boiling point must be 25 degrees centigrade. Minimum should be 25 or more. Okay. For example, water and alcohol. That's a homogeneous mixture, and that is separated by fractional distillation flask. That is fractional distillation process, which is placed in a fractional distillation flask. Now what do? We put it in a fractional distillation flask. The alcohol first boils at low temperature than water. It vaporizes and collected in the cooled parts. Water is left behind. Then a fractional column is fixed above the distillation flask. Water vapor moves up along with the alcohol in the flask, should condense and come back to the flask. Come back to the flask again. Whereas alcohol, being lighter, whose has a lower boiling point, will start passing through the condensation flask, and it gets collected as a distillate. Like petrol is separated from, petroleum oil, crude petroleum oil. From the crude petroleum oil, petrol, kerosene, diesel, etc. are separated by this process, fractional distillation process. Then separation of gas liquid mixture. This mixture is separated by heating. Dissolved gases escape when heated and separated. For example, air from drinking water separates when boiled. Boiled water becomes tasteless. That's why boiled water becomes tasteless. So, this gas liquid mixture is separated by heating only. Now, one of the modern techniques of separating liquid-liquid mixture. That it's rather from the not liquid, it's components of the liquid are separated here. It is called chromatography. Okay, or if you can say colored writing. It is the latest technique to separate the colored components from a liquid. For example, is the part components of the ink are separated from the components of the inks are separated by this process. Now, components have a very similar in properties. In this case, the components should have very similar in properties, because earlier used to separate colored components only. This chromatography was earlier used to separate colored components only. Nowadays, they are used to separate colored components, colorless components also. Now, the process separates different dissolved constituents of the mixture by their adsorption method or an appropriate material. It is an adsorption method, not absorption. It is based on the difference in the rate of adsorption of different components on the surface of the suitable adsorbent. Common adsorbents are filter paper, silica gel, etc. And common solvents are water, ethyl alcohol, acetic acid, etc. Okay. Then example, components of ink are separated by mixture of many dyes separated by this method. And as some components or dyes are less soluble or more soluble in a solvent. Okay, some components are less soluble in a solvent, or some components are more soluble in solvent. The principle involved is component separates on the basis of differences between two phases. One is stationary phase and one is mobile phase. Stationary phase is the adsorbent, that is the filter paper or the silica gel, and the mobile is the solution which can float. Okay. Then the band of colors on the paper is chromatogram. The bands which appear on the color, that is the colors which are the bands of colors which are obtained on the paper, they are known as chromatogram. And the simplest type is paper chromatography. The special type of paper taken, which is a special type of paper taken, what is called Whatman filter paper. Okay. Now I'll stop here. I'll continue with in the next video the rest of the chapter, where I'll discuss on this paper chromatography. Okay. So if you have any doubt, please write in the comment box, and if you like the video, press the like button, and if you have not subscribed yet, or if you are a new viewer to my channel, please do subscribe so that you can get the notification of my next video. Thank you.